Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time, we're going to be diving into Artisynth.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, it's an AI art synthesis engine that's been causing, like, a real stir lately.
I have seen it around.
Yeah. You know how some people are always saying AI will never be truly creative?
Right.
Well, Artisynth is kind of making everyone rethink that. It can, like, blend art styles and create really unique pieces. And what's even cooler is that it makes this kind of high-level art creation accessible to anyone. You don't have to be like a pro.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So it's more than just an art generator then.
Right.
It's actually synthesizing.
Yeah. It pulls from all these different art styles and periods, mixing and matching.
So like from different eras and movements.
Exactly. It's been blowing up on X and like all over social media.
That's definitely trending.
Yeah. And the process is actually pretty simple. You start with a base image.
Okay.
And you can use literally anything you upload.
So like a photo.
Yeah. Or like a doodle, anything. Then you browse through this huge library of different art styles.
Wow.
From classical to contemporary, you name it. Imagine blending like Renaissance with cyberpunk.
Ooh.
Right? Or like your pet's photo with like a Van Gogh style.
That's wild.
Yeah. And the AI actually analyzes like the brushstrokes and colors, in the composition.
So it's not just like slapping a filter on top.
No. You have so much control. You can adjust the intensity, the colors, add textures and patterns even.
Wow. So you can really make it your own.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's even this feature called interactive evolution where the AI learns from your choices as you're creating.
No way.
Yeah, it's like having a digital artist, like collaborating with you, refining your vision.
That's incredible. So what does all this mean for the future of art? Like, where do we go from here?
It's mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
It feels like we're stepping into uncharted territory.
Yeah, it does. It makes you think.
It really does. Like, it's amazing how Artisynth is making this kind of art creation accessible to everyone. Because historically, art tools in training were like so expensive and really limited to a few.
Yeah, only those who could afford it.
Right. But now anyone can experiment and explore all these different styles.
And at such a high level, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So does this mean everyone's an artist now?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? If anyone can create art using AI, is it really art? Where's the human touch? Where's the originality?
Yeah, that's a big one. Is it derivative?
Exactly.
Is it lacking that human spark?
Right.
I've heard people are worried about copyright issues, too, if styles are copied too closely.
It's a big debate. And I don't think there's an easy answer. It's something we all need to be thinking about as AI plays a bigger role in art creation.
Absolutely.
Right.
So what do you think? Is the output of Artisynth art?
It's a tough one. I mean, it definitely makes you think, right? And that's what's so fascinating about it. It's pushing the boundaries of what we consider art and who can create it.
It's challenging our definitions, for sure. I'm curious about the impact on, like, human artists. Will people stop learning traditional skills if the AI can do it for them?
Yeah, that's a concern for sure.
Yeah.
Is this the end of, human creativity as we know it?
It's a valid concern. I mean, every new tool changes how art is made, right?
That's true.
Like, think about photography. It didn't kill painting.
Right. It evolved.
Exactly. Photography pushed painting in new directions, new forms, new styles.
So maybe AI can do the same for art.
I think so. It can be a partner in the creative process, not a replacement.
Instead of being afraid of it, we should look at it as a tool.
Yeah, a tool that helps us push boundaries and explore new creative territories.
Exactly. So once you've created your masterpiece on Artisynth, what can you do with it?
Well, you can export it in a ton of different formats, share it on social media.
Show it off.
Yeah. You can even use it for collaborative projects where others can add their own style choices.
Wow.
The possibilities are really endless.
I love how the user guide really encourages experimentation. Like, go wild, try weird combinations, see what happens.
Oh, right. The weirder, the better. It's all about exploring. And remember, the AI learns from your choices. So each time you create something, it's helping you get closer to your artistic vision.
It's not just about making pretty pictures. It's about exploring the crazy, amazing possibilities at the intersection of art and AI.
Exactly. And it makes you think about the nature of creativity itself.
It really does.
If AI can help us reach this level of creative output, what does that say about us? What does it say about what it means to be creative?
Are we just guiding the AI or are we still the artist?
It really blurs the line.
It does.
And it makes you wonder about the future. What's next?
What is next? I mean, it feels like Artisynth is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really does. There's so much more to explore.
I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me too. It's exciting and a little bit scary, but mostly exciting.
Definitely exciting.
Yeah, it feels like we're on the verge of something big.
Absolutely. But with all this excitement, I think it's important to talk about the ethics of it all, too.
Oh, for sure.
It's like we're venturing into uncharted territory here.
Right. And with any powerful tool, there comes responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are some of the things we need to be mindful of as we explore this new frontier of art creation?
Well, one of the biggest issues is copyright.
Ah, yeah.
I mean, Artisynth can mimic styles so closely.
It can.
So it raises all these questions about ownership, right?
Right.
Like, who owns the copyright to a piece of AI art?
Is it the person who created the AI or the person who used it to make the art?
Or even the original artists whose styles are being imitated.
It's a really complex issue.
It is.
And it's something that, artists, developers, and policymakers are all trying to figure out right now. I mean, you could argue that all art is inspired by what came before it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Artists have always been influenced by each other. They build on each other's styles.
Right. Absolutely. But Artisynth can replicate those styles with, like, such precision and speed.
Yeah, it's different.
It is. So it could potentially devalue the work of human artists. It's a delicate balance.
It is, and it's something we need to think about carefully. How do we ensure that these AI tools enhance and empower human creativity?
Right. Not exploit it or, diminish it. It's a tricky question.
It is. How do we find that balance?
I think it starts with open conversations. We need to get artists involved in the development of these technologies.
And in the regulations too, right?
Definitely. We need to be transparent about how AI is being used, and we need to make sure that artists are being compensated fairly.
Absolutely.
Not just for their work being used directly, like as inspiration, but also for their work being used indirectly.
Yeah. Like the data that trains these AI algorithms.
Exactly. It's about respect, It's about recognizing the value of human creativity.
It's not just about the legalities.
No. It's about ethics.
It is.
And education is a huge part of this too, right? We need to educate artists and the public about AI art.
What it can do, what it can't do.
Exactly. So that we can appreciate it for what it is.
A new form of creative expression with its own unique challenges and opportunities.
It's a learning process for all of us.
It's a journey, really.
It is.
And while there are challenges, there's also this incredible potential.
Absolutely.
And a whole lot of excitement.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a chance to redefine what's possible in the art world. It's a pretty big deal.
It really is.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the big picture, but let's get into some of the specifics of Artisynth. What are some of the things that make it so unique? What are the features that really stand out to you?
Well, one thing that really impressed me is its approach to layering. You can choose different styles for different elements of your image, so you can create these really intricate, multi-layered compositions. Imagine a Renaissance background, but with a surrealist foreground.
Wow.
And then maybe throw in a touch of abstract expressionism for good measure.
Now I'm picturing the Mona Lisa with a melting clock draped over her shoulder, all done in these crazy, vibrant colors, like straight out of a pop art masterpiece.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. It encourages you to experiment, to break the rules and see what happens.
It really challenges our ideas about what art is and who can create it.
And what it means to be creative in this world where technology is changing everything so quickly.
It's a brave new world out there.
It is, full of possibilities and challenges.
And a lot of questions.
Definitely. But I think ultimately this fusion of art and AI is going to lead us to a richer, more vibrant art world, a place where everyone can be creative no matter their background or skill level.
Or their access to fancy art tools. Imagine a world where anyone can express themselves artistically.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It really is. And who knows, maybe this will lead to a whole new generation of artists.
Inspired not by paintbrushes and canvases, but by algorithms and data sets.
Exactly. It's a pretty exciting time to be an artist.
And an exciting time to be an art enthusiast.
For sure. But with all this excitement, I think it's important to address the ethical considerations too.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a lot of things we need to think about carefully.
We need to be mindful and responsible.
Exactly. We're venturing into uncharted territory here. And with any powerful tool, there are potential downsides.
Right. We need to make sure we're using it for good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are some of the things we need to be mindful of as we explore this new frontier of art creation?
Well, we've talked about copyright, but there's also the issue of bias in AI algorithms.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Tell me more about that.
Sure. So AI models are trained on these massive data sets, right?
Right.
And if those data sets aren't diverse and representative of, different styles and
The
cultures,
AI could end up being biased.
exactly, it could perpetuate existing biases,
Mhm.
potentially excluding certain artistic styles or perspectives.
So just like any other tool, AI can reflect the biases of its creators
That's right. And that's why it's so important to have diverse teams building these tools.
and to make sure that those teams are actively working to reduce bias in their algorithms.
Exactly. It's not just about fairness. It's about fostering creativity and innovation. A wider range of perspectives leads to a richer, more vibrant art world.
That's a great point. It's fascinating to think about how AI could actually help us break down barriers and create a more inclusive art world.
It's a really interesting possibility. We've talked about how AI can make art creation more accessible to people who might not have had the opportunity before.
Right, democratizing art.
Exactly. But it could also help to challenge those existing hierarchies and power structures within the art world.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. Like, imagine a world where artistic merit is judged purely on the strength of the work.
Yeah. Not on the artist's background, connections, or, who they know.
It's like AI could help to level the playing field, giving artists from all walks of life a chance to have their voices heard.
That's the dream, isn't it?
It really is. But we also need to be careful.
Of course.
If we become too reliant on AI, if we lose sight of that human element in art creation, what happens then?
That's the big question, isn't it? We don't want to create this homogenized, sterile art world.
Right. Devoid of emotion and authenticity.
Exactly. We need to remember that AI is a tool.
Not a replacement for human creativity.
Right. The magic really happens in that intersection, in the collaboration between human and machine,
It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot,
where AI enhances and expands our creative powers.
but without diminishing the human spirit that drives it all.
Beautifully said. And as we continue exploring this new frontier, we need to keep talking about it.
Yeah. Open, honest conversations.
About the ethics, about the potential downsides, about what it all means.
Absolutely.
Because it's a journey we're all taking together.
We are. And it's one that we need to navigate thoughtfully.
I completely agree.
So where do we go from here? What's the takeaway for our listeners? What do you want them to walk away with after this deep dive into the world of Artisynth?
I think the most important thing is to approach AI art with curiosity, but also with a critical eye. Embrace the possibilities. Experiment. Explore. Push the boundaries.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to get weird with it.
Exactly. But do it with a sense of responsibility. Remember the artists who came before you. Be aware of the ethical questions.
And above all, have fun.
Yes. Have fun. It's an incredible time to be engaged with art.
It really is.
And I can't wait to see what we all create together in the years to come.
I know, me too.
It's going to be wild.
Absolutely wild.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the potential impact of Artisynth on the art world, but what about the individual artist? How can someone actually use this tool to enhance their own creative process?
That's a great question. And I think it's something that a lot of artists are wondering about right now. Like, how do you actually integrate AI into your workflow? How do you make it work for you?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a new tool, and like any tool, it takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
But once you understand its capabilities and limitations, I think it can be incredibly empowering.
It's like adding another color to your palette or another instrument to your orchestra.
I love that analogy, and I think it's important to remember that AI is not going to replace your skills or your vision as an artist.
It's not going to steal your creativity.
Exactly. It's more like a collaborator, a partner in the creative process. It can help you explore new ideas, experiment with different styles, and push your boundaries.
It can help you get unstuck.
Yeah.
Like if you're feeling creatively blocked or just want to try something different.
Absolutely. And it can help you work more efficiently. Like imagine you're working on a big project with lots of different elements. You could use Artisynth to generate variations of a particular element or to quickly mock up different compositions.
That would save so much time.
Right. And it would free you up to focus on the things that only you, as a human artist, can do, the things that require your unique skills, your intuition, your emotional intelligence.
Like adding that final touch, that spark of life that makes a piece of art truly special.
Precisely. So I think for a lot of artists, AI is going to be this amazing tool for inspiration and experimentation. It's going to help them work faster, smarter, and more creatively.
But it's not going to replace the human element.
No, never. That's what makes art so powerful, that human connection, that emotional resonance.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about the big picture, the ethical considerations, and how individual artists can use Artisynth. But let's get down to brass tacks. What are some practical tips for someone who wants to start using Artisynth?
Great question. I think the most important thing is to just dive in and start playing around.
Experiment.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The beauty of Artisynth is that it's so user-friendly.
And forgiving.
Yes, you can undo, redo, tweak, and adjust until you're happy with the results. So just have fun with it.
What about the base image? Any tips for choosing the right one?
Well, I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you want to create something really abstract, you could start with a simple texture or pattern. But if you have a specific subject in mind, like a portrait or a landscape, then you'll want to choose an image that captures the essence of what you're going for.
And what about the style? Any advice on navigating that huge library of options?
Oh man, that's the fun part. I love browsing through all the different styles and seeing what catches my eye. Sometimes I'll start with a specific style in mind, but other times I'll just let myself be surprised by what the AI suggests.
It's like a lucky dip for art.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to mix and match styles. That's where things can get really interesting.
Like we talked about earlier, the Mona Lisa with the melting clock.
Exactly.
Okay, last question. Once you've created your masterpiece,
Yeah.
what's the best way to share it with the world?
Well, Artisynth lets you export your creations in all sorts of formats. So you can share them on social media, print them out, even create merchandise with your designs.
That's amazing.
It is. And I think it's important to get feedback on your work, share it with friends, family, other artists, see what they think. It's all part of the creative process.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible with AI art.
I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me neither. It's going to be an amazing journey.
It really is. It's like we're opening up this whole new world of artistic possibilities, but it's also raising a lot of questions about what it actually means to be creative in this new age of AI.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? It challenges all our old assumptions.
Yeah, like are we just curators now?
Yeah.
Just guiding the AI towards a vision? Or are we still the artists, but using a different set of tools?
It's blurry, right? The line isn't so clear anymore.
It's definitely a question that's going to keep coming up as AI gets more and more sophisticated.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, defining what art is anymore. It's about the whole future of art creation.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. We've already been using digital tools in art for a long time, right? Photoshop, Illustrator, 3D modeling software.
Right. Those are already like extensions of the artist's hand in a way.
Exactly. But Artisynth feels like it takes it a step further. Like it's tapping into this massive database of artistic knowledge and helping us explore options we might never have even considered on our own.
It's like having centuries of art history at your fingertips.
It's kind of overwhelming, but also incredibly exciting. But even with all this, I think it's super important to remember that Artisynth is still just a tool. It's not a replacement for human creativity.
Couldn't agree more.
It can generate ideas and help us explore new aesthetics, but it's still up to us, the human artists, to shape the final piece.
To give it meaning, to give it soul, to make it truly our own.
To infuse it with emotion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe this whole collaboration between human and AI will lead to completely new art forms, new ways of expressing ourselves that we can't even imagine right now.
That's what I find so exciting about all this. It's like opening a door to this unknown territory, and we have no idea what we're going to find there.
Exactly. And I think that's where the real magic is going to happen.
One of the things that really stood out to me about Artisynth is its approach to layering. It lets you choose different styles for different elements of your image. So you can create these really intricate, multi-layered compositions.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible. It's like building a visual symphony, layer by layer, style by style.
I love that.
Yeah.
Imagine like a Renaissance background, but with a surrealist foreground.
And then maybe a touch of abstract expressionism for good measure.
Now I'm picturing the Mona Lisa, but with a melting clock draped over her shoulder, all done in these bold, vibrant colors, like straight out of a pop art masterpiece.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless. And that's what's so great about Artisynth. It encourages you to experiment, to break the rules, to try new things and just see what happens.
Yeah, it really challenges everything we thought we knew about art, who can create it, what it means to be creative.
It's a whole new way of thinking about art in this rapidly evolving world.
It's a brave new world full of possibilities, challenges, and a whole lot of questions.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I really do believe that this fusion of art and AI is going to lead us to a richer, more vibrant, and definitely more inclusive art world. A world where everyone can explore their creative potential, regardless of their background or their skill level.
Or their access to traditional art tools. It's a really beautiful thought, isn't it?
It is. I mean, imagine a world where anyone can express themselves artistically.
It's a powerful idea. And who knows, maybe this is going to be the catalyst for a whole new generation of artists.
Inspired not by brushes and paint, but by algorithms and data sets.
Exactly. The future of art is wide open.
Yeah.
And it's going to be exciting to see where it all goes.
It's definitely an exciting time to be an artist.
And an exciting time to be an art enthusiast.
Absolutely. But as we move forward, with all this excitement, I think it's super important to address the ethical side of things too.
Oh, for sure. That's
Yeah.
essential.
Because this is really uncharted territory we're in. And like with any powerful tool, there's a responsibility that comes with it.
100%. We need to make sure we're using it for good.
Exactly. So what are some of the things that we need to be mindful of as we explore this new frontier of art creation?
Well, we've touched on copyright already, which is a big one, but there's also the issue of bias in AI algorithms.
Oh, yeah, that's a really important one. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So, as you know, these AI models are trained on these massive data sets, right?
Right.
And if those data sets aren't diverse enough, like if they don't represent a wide range of artistic styles, cultural influences, historical periods, then the AI can actually perpetuate existing biases.
Can end up excluding certain styles or perspectives, even if unintentionally.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to have diverse teams of people working on these AI tools, making sure that those biases are addressed.
So just like any other tool, AI can reflect the biases of its creators. That's a sobering thought.
It is, but it's also why it's so important to talk about these issues openly and honestly.
To raise awareness.
Exactly. We need to be mindful of the potential downsides of AI, even as we're celebrating its amazing possibilities.
So it's not just about fairness, it's about fostering creativity and innovation in the truest sense.
Right. The more diverse the perspectives that go into creating these tools, the richer and more dynamic our art world will be.
I love that. So it's not just about preventing harm, it's about actively promoting inclusivity and diversity in art.
Absolutely. And that's something I'm really passionate about. I think AI has the potential to make art more accessible and more representative than ever before.
And that's incredibly exciting. But like you said earlier, we need to be cautious. We don't want to become overly reliant on AI to the point where we lose sight of the human element in art creation.
I agree. We don't want to end up with this homogeneous, sterile art world devoid of emotion and authenticity.
A world where everything looks the same, feels the same.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between the human and the machine.
Where they complement each other, when they work together to create something truly unique and meaningful.
Beautifully put. And I think that's where the real magic lies, in that collaboration, that partnership between human creativity and artificial intelligence.
It's about harnessing the power of AI to enhance and expand our creative capabilities.
Without losing sight of what makes us human, what makes art so powerful and so moving.
That human connection, that emotional resonance, it's what makes art truly special. It feels like we're just scratching the surface here. Who knows what other amazing AI tools are out there just waiting to be discovered.
I know. It's mind-blowing to think about what the future holds. But even with all the potential benefits, it's so important that we proceed thoughtfully.
Responsibly.
Exactly. We need to address these ethical challenges head on. We've talked about copyright, but what other concerns are there? What else should we be thinking about?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is the potential for bias in AI algorithms.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge one.
AI models are trained on massive data sets, right?
Right.
And if those data sets aren't diverse and representative, then the AI can actually perpetuate existing biases.
Exactly. It can lead to the exclusion of certain styles, certain perspectives, even unintentionally.
So, just like any other tool, AI can reflect the biases of its creators. It's a sobering thought.
It is, and it's why it's so important to have diverse teams building these tools. And those teams need to be actively working to mitigate bias in their algorithms.
Because it's not just about fairness, right? It's about fostering creativity and innovation.
100%. A wider range of perspectives leads to a richer, more dynamic art world. Period.
It's amazing to think that AI could actually help us break down barriers and create a more inclusive art world.
It's a really powerful idea. We've talked about how AI can democratize art creation, making it accessible to people who might not have had access to traditional tools or training in the past.
Right.
But it can also challenge the existing hierarchies and power structures within the art world.
It's a really radical notion when you think about it. Like, imagine a world where artistic merit is judged solely on the strength of the work itself.
Not on the artist's background, connections, or pedigree.
It's like AI could help level the playing field, allowing artists from all walks of life to have their voices heard and their work seen.
That's the dream.
It really is. But we also need to be mindful of the potential pitfalls, right? Like, what happens if we become too reliant on AI? If we lose sight of the human element in art creation?
That's the big question, isn't it? We don't want to create a world where art becomes homogenized, sterile, devoid of emotion, devoid of authenticity.
A world where everything starts to look and feel the same.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to remember that AI is a tool. It's not a replacement for human creativity and expression.
The magic happens in that intersection, in that collaboration between human and machine.
Beautifully said. It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where AI enhances and expands our creative capabilities, but without diminishing the human spirit that drives it all.
That human connection, that emotional resonance, it's what makes art truly special.
Couldn't agree more. And as we continue to explore this new frontier, it's essential to keep having these conversations.
To keep asking the tough questions.
To engage in thoughtful dialogue. To consider the ethical implications of AI and art. To make sure that we're using it to enrich and empower human creativity.
Not to replace or diminish it.
Exactly. It's a journey we're all on together.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Artisynth, what's the takeaway for our listeners? What do you hope they'll walk away with today?
I think the most important thing is to approach AI art with curiosity, but also with a critical eye. Embrace the possibilities. Experiment, explore, push the boundaries. Don't be afraid to get weird with it, but do it with a sense of responsibility. Be mindful of the artists who came before you. Be aware of the ethical questions that surround AI and art. And most importantly, have fun.
Have fun. Because at the end of the day, art is about expression, it's about joy, it's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
It's about the human spirit. And AI, I believe, can help us tap into that spirit in new and exciting ways.
It's a brave new world out there, folks.
Yeah.
Full of possibilities and challenges. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be an amazing ride.
I can't wait to see what we create together.
Me neither. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Artisynth. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.